Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of a Sunday night of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Girl MF Michael Fletcher alongside the guys, Anthony Floyer and Michael Bullock. We do apologize. I know you guys were wondering what happened last night. Why was this not a Saturday night show? Just some things that was a little bit out of my control I couldn't handle. So, unfortunately, I told the guys that we were going to have to can the show and that we were going to have to do it on this night. So, we're going to do it here and now. You already guys know how we break it down. Smackdown Live, then followed by AEW Collision. And yeah, so with that said, here we go. We start out with SmackDown Live per the usual. See, hold on one second. All right, here we go. And SmackDown Live, as it was held last night. Let's see. There we go. All right, here we go. And it was held from the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. So we started off with a promo segment. Let's see, by John Cena, interrupted by Jey Uso with Solo Sikoa, and kind of a little bit started to break down. Then it basically led us to the first fight of the night, as it was Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio of the LWO with Zelina Vega, and they went up against the Street Profits, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, alongside Bobby Lashley. Winners of the bout in 11 minutes and 3 seconds was the LWO. A miscommunication. Basically, Dawkins kind of hesitated, got rolled up on Ray, and Ray was able to hold him down for the 3 count. Good match. Solid fight. I could say about 3 stars is my rating for the match. And the thing is that I love the story that they're telling, and that is that Bobby Lashley wants a more aggressive, more attitude from the Profits. And he wants to see a different side of them. We know how good you guys are, but you're missing something. You're lacking something. You're lacking a killer instinct. And that's what Bobby Lashley's trying to implore to the guys. And we saw a little more aggression from them, a little more of that different side. But when the big moment came, which was Montez Ford, which was for Angelo Dawkins, Dawkins hesitated, kind of like, you know what? No, I don't want to lose like that. I don't want to go like that route, and it cost them. That could be the thing that could send them from being good to great. And I think that's it's an interesting story dynamic and the whole 9 yards. I'm cool with it. I thought it was a great match. So 3 stars for me. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
Well, I'll tell you what, MF, it was a good match as should be expected based on the talent involved. And the finish was certainly a surprise. Whether it is the first chapter in a rivalry between the LWO and the trio of Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, and Bobby Lashley remains to be seen. But one would hope that is the case. Otherwise, this was an interesting time to have the Profits drop a match, even with a backstage vignette moments later confirming that Lashley berating his proteges is part of the story, mostly because it is so early in the run. Ford and Dawkins need new entrance music. If they're intended to be the heels, their traditional theme skews babyface. They need something edgier that reflects their newfound aggression. The babyfaces going over was certainly a choice. The saving grace could potentially be Lashley using the loss as a teachable moment for Ford and Dawkins. Otherwise, it was an unnecessary defeat for a team that should be building momentum at this point, not having it interrupted. Lashley berated the team afterward, threatening to take everything away from them if they are not going to win. So we definitely have to keep an eye on that going into the next show. So I'll give it about 3.25 stars for the effort. So maybe second best fight of the night here. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, your thoughts as the Street Profits lose, and we saw it during our SmackDown chat Friday night. We talked about it. Lashley berated them and saying, if you can't do what I want you to do, then I'll just find somebody who can. Go back to catering.
Yeah, I mean that's something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. I mean, if they're gonna go this route and end it early, then what was the point of pairing them with Bobby Lashley? I mean, that's something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. But maybe this is a teachable moment. Maybe this is what they needed to hear. Maybe this will help bring out a more aggressive, more heelish side of the Street Profits. So we'll have to wait and see how that develops. But this was a great match here. I enjoyed it. A 3.25 star match. I mean, but like I said, we're gonna have to keep an eye on the Profits and Bobby Lashley and see where this goes from here. So that being said, let's move on, Fletch.
For the WWE Women's Championship, the champion Io Sky versus Asuka, the winner of the bout. And believe it or not, I actually am able to confirm this. 19 minutes, 46 seconds, and still the WWE Women's Champion Io Sky, Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Fight of the night, 4.5 stars. There was a considerable amount of excitement and anticipation ahead of the Women's Championship match between Io Sky and Asuka. And my God, man, unbelievable match. The action itself did not disappoint. Champion and challenger wrestled a damn good match with the sort of in-ring action that you do not see from other competitors on the roster. There was a smoothness to it, an effortlessness to the maneuvers even. It was superbly wrestled by two competitors as good as anyone else in the women's division. The only criticism is the booking left a bit to be desired, with Charlotte Flair factoring into the outcome as she laid out Sky's Damage Control teammate Bayley at ringside and set up the tire distraction finish. This likely keeps Charlotte in a title picture and recreates the same tension the Queen had with Bianca Belair over the summer, essentially keeping things at status quo. Speaking of which, where was Shotzi? She was around last week, but suddenly decided that a big title match on SmackDown in which Bayley would absolutely try to get involved was the time to sit back and let Damage Control engage in shenanigans. It makes little sense. Something we should be begging for from WWE Creative when it comes to this women's division, which has been all over the place for the better part of the last year. Is WWE contractually obligated to have Charlotte Flair around the women's title at any and all times? Seriously. The Queen interrupting the opening seconds of the championship bout, making her presence felt, and seemingly countering Damage Control's Bayley and Dakota Kai at ringside. Asuka and Io strikes were unlike anything this division has seen. There is a different physicality and urgency to each one. There was also a smoothness to their counters, reversals, and transitions that just hit differently. The match deserved a better finish, and because of that, the match overall was 4.5, but I'm bumping it down to 4.25 because of the finish there. But still, it's still the fight of the night. I'm not gonna punish it too badly, even though I have every right to, but I'm not going to because the match was just too damn good. It's just a damn shame that we had to have a BS clunk finish, but it is what it is. But 4.25 stars, fight of the night for me. There's no doubt about that. So, Michael Bullock, we saw it Friday night. What an incredible match. Unfortunately, the ending definitely put a damper on it, though. Damn good match, though.
Yeah, it was a damn good match, though. But like you said, the ending took away from it. I mean, if we didn't have that clunky finish that we had, I would have given this 4.5 stars. But I'm bumping it down to 4.25 as well. I mean, Yeah, and Florio brings up a good point. Where was Shotzi? I mean, yes, you needed somebody out there to keep an eye on Bailey, but it should be Shotzi, not Charlotte Flair, because, like you said, is this their way of trying to keep Charlotte Flair in the title picture? Come on. If you got something going with Shotzi and Bailey right now, you need Shotzi being the one to be out there to counteract with Bailey and Dakota Kai. So yeah, I'm with that little bit of constructive criticism here. Overall, it's 4.5, but I'm bumping it down to 4.25 because of the overbooked finish. So what's yours, Fletch?
Yeah, it was a little bit of an overbooked finish. There's no doubt about it. It is a 4.25 star fight. It was a little bit left to be desired in certain elements or certain areas. Um, but sometimes that does happen, and I get the other negativity is that why is Charlotte getting another shot at the title? Look, I mean, at the end of the day, we can say whatever we want to say, but they go for the ratings, they go for the company, they go for the people that even believe it or not, the network wants. And Fox has always been very high on Charlotte Flair. So it's not just that, whatever is, it is. Sometimes you gotta listen to sometimes what the network wants. And, it looks like the network wants Charlotte Flair at least to have a shot, not win the title, but at least have her on the show, be involved, any way that they can, because that drives the ratings. She's a ratings booster. And I know a lot of people is gonna roll their eyes and say, "Oh, come on, you got to do it another way." But think about how the ratings for AEW is post Punk to when Punk was there. There's a difference when you get the people and get the talent and whoever you want to talk about in that situation. That's where you go from there. So that's all, and we'll wait and see how it plays out. But there is a talk and there is some sentiment that Charlotte most likely will be in the title picture again. And hey, I'm not gonna be mad about it if it is if that's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. Now, if they put the title on her, now that's a whole different story. Then we can rant, we can rave, we can say whatever. But as long as if they want to give her the shot at it, all right, I'm cool with it. As long as she doesn't walk away with the gold. Now, if she wins the title, now we're talking a whole different problem. Then we know. Then we go from there. But we'll see how it plays out. All right, next up we had was the Brawling Brutes, Butch and Rich Holland versus A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and A-Town Down Under wins the match in 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll give it about 2.5 stars. Obviously, they wanted to give the win to the team of Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, especially Austin Theory, especially after when he got embarrassed last week by the great one, the Brahma Bull, The Rock, and yeah, he really needed that win along with Grayson Waller. So yeah, so we'll see what happens now. Now that this duo went over. So Fletch, it is yours, and if you're Austin Theory, you got to feel a little bit better, especially after he got embarrassed and humiliated by The Rock.
Oh, are you kidding me? Any little thing, it's gonna help him out down the line. So no, I'm good with it. It's a nice win. It's a nice victory. For A-Town Down Under. There's really nothing more to say here. It was just that I look. everybody has their opinions. Everybody has their thoughts about the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, they got it. They did it. It was a great win. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to add. And, yeah, really nothing more to say. So, Anthony Florio, it is yours. This was about I could say about a 2.5 to about 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star.
You got it. 2.5, 2 3/4, exactly the rating I had. The result of a backstage confrontation, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller battled the Brawling Brutes, Butch and Rich Holland in tag team action, upsetting the more experienced tandem to secure a big win. The heels overcame the toughness and tenacity of the babyfaces, with Waller smashing Butch into the ring post and delivering a rolling stunner to Holland. Theory took advantage, delivering A-Town down for the pinfall win. Good competitive match. It highlighted the heels and provided a hint of things to come for them. And the tag team division, as Michael Cole not so subtly suggested, Theory and Waller could be in line for a shot at the winner of the undisputed tag team title match between Finn Balor and Damian Priest and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that we will see tomorrow night on Raw. If there are no better plans for Waller and Theory at the moment, they have proven to have solid chemistry to this point, and there are far worse uses for them than as tag team title contenders. Kudos to Michael Cole and Corey Graves for putting over Butch's recent match with Tyler Bate as part of the Global Heritage Invitational, and recommended fans check out his tournament final against Joe Coffey that goes down Tuesday night on NXT. So, for the right, and whoever wins that will earn the right to challenge Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup this Saturday night as part of NXT's No Mercy on Peacock. So there isn't much more to say on this. 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. And with that, MF, we move on to a very long segment to close the show in the main event spot.
Yeah, so it basically led to Solo and Jimmy Uso came out, beat down AJ Styles. Basically, he got stretchered out into an ambulance. That brought out Paul Heyman and the guys. Cena comes out basically because this was supposed to be a contract signing for a tag team fight. Well, it didn't go according to plan. Cena got jumped, got laid out, and the Bloodline stands tall. They signed a contract, and Cena is now without a partner. Basically, he's got nobody for the moment going into the pay-per-view, or I should say the premium live event. It's a great way to close the show. It was red hot. That was exactly what they needed. It was very telling because now the question becomes, well, now who do you go? AJ was supposed to be the guy. Obviously, it won't be AJ now because they kind of took him out of the play.
Well, the thing is, Fletch, and I want to bring this up. I mean, I did read a dirt sheet. I think it was after the show last night. It was supposed to be a certain guy that's really getting pushed to the moon right now. Was supposed to come and save John Cena. And you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. It was supposed to be LA Knight that was supposed to make the save, but there were reports earlier in that day. Unfortunately, LA Knight tested positive for COVID-19, and he had to leave the arena. So LA Knight, I guess he was supposed to be the guy to make the save, and I think LA Knight's going to be the one to team with John Cena to face Solo and Jimmy Uso. Because here's the thing you think about it. Who was the one that refereed LA Knight's match with The Miz?
It was Cena.
It was John Cena. And who was the one that raised the arm and shook the hand of LA Knight? It was John Cena. And who was LA Knight confronted by, I think it was last week, Paul Heyman. So I think when you put two together, I think it's got to be LA Knight.
Well, I would have said yes until LA Knight got COVID. So that kind of changes everything, at least in my eyes.
Well,
Now,
we gotta wait. Well, we gotta wait and see how he is throughout the
yeah.
week. I mean, if he starts to get better, then I think it's definitely going to be LA Knight. But
Well,
if he's still not well, then WWE's got to come up with a plan B.
oh, there's a plan B. I've been reading the dirt sheets, and there's a plan B. There's somebody that nobody's been mentioning that I know. So, yeah. A certain person who has been a rival of John Cena, and somebody who also has a bone to pick with the bloodline from way back when. So, I mean, look, obviously they're going to go to Raw. He's going to start the recruiting trip. And, you know, you're going to get the usual suspects. Maybe Cena talks to Drew. Maybe Cena talks to, you know, you could get Cena talking to Jey Uso. You know, obviously after.
Or how about maybe a certain American Nightmare who's got some unfinished business with the bloodline too.
I mean, you could go that route, yes, and I think that would be a great choice if it's Cody Rhodes. I mean, WWE, as a matter of fact, has plenty of choices here. There's at least 5 guys off the top of my hand, not discounting LA Knight, that they could throw this at. Yes, LA Knight would have been one of the guys, obviously, but Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, yes, you could say the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, because obviously, main event Jey Uso, that's 5. And the 6th, believe it or not, and I know this might be wishful thinking, but there has been talk about him showing up at the Performance Center lately, and that would be none other than Randy Orton. So, could he be coming back? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But whatever the case may be, this is a hell of a way to close the show. We'll say that. So, Anthony Florio, it is all yours. Or did you already give us your thoughts?
I didn't go.
Oh, okay. Then it is yours.
Who will team with John Cena to battle Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa at Fastlane? It is the question posed by the closing segment of Friday's Smackdown, thanks to a backstage attack of AJ Styles by Sikoa that left the Phenomenal One in need of medical attention. And then back in the arena, the heels laid out an overzealous Cena, leaving him in a heap before signing a contract for the match at the aforementioned pay-per-view. This was a great improvement over the earlier segment in the show, which felt mostly unnecessary and served no real purpose in hindsight other than to set up a main event contract signing that could have been accomplished literally any other way. The mystery of who will team with Cena is a nice touch that will create buzz and intrigue surrounding a pay-per-view that feels very much like an afterthought. Who might that person be? It very well could be someone whose name everyone is saying, L.A. Knight. Yeah. If so, there are a few more effective ways to solidify the megastar as just that than by having him main event a show with Cena as his partner. Sikoa making good on his promise to take one of the babyfaces, Styles, out and seemingly call off the tag team match at Fastlane was a nice touch, and it created intrigue as to what would come next. The heat for Paul Heyman rivaled that of Dominic Mysterio. The idea of Jimmy Uso's hubris getting the best of him and putting the bloodline in tough predicaments by ruining the order of things is an interesting development in this story. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see what happens. So not much more to say on this segment of the night. No question about it. So let's get to our overall review.
Yeah, all right. And look, I'm going to say it. On the scope of it, not that many matches. There was only 3 matches the whole night. But with the storylines, with everything that they had to do, this was actually a passable show. So I could say about 7.5 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't the blowaways or the most dominating thing we've ever seen, but I thought it was far better than, what we've had. I'll say this, the closing segment was absolutely monster. I mean, that was a great day. So, yeah, no, at the end of the day, not bad. Pretty good show. Anthony, it's yours.
This show was going to go where two specific segments took it. The WWE Women's Title Showdown between Asuka and Io Sky and whatever John Cena was involved in. The title bout between the Empress of Tomorrow and the Genius of the Sky was fantastic and really highlighted how great those two are. The stuff with John Cena started dicey, but ended spectacularly, with the opportunity to make a genuine star out of LA Knight, if that is the direction the company takes in the absence of AJ Styles. A good show with some much-needed focus and a damn good title match to boot. We had two other solid matches as well, with the LWO and the Street Profits and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller versus the Brawling Brutes. So I'm going to be a little more generous. I'm going to give it between 7.5 to 8 is my rating for this. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, take it home for this, and then we'll get into AEW Collision.
Yeah, I'll give this 7.5 out of 10. I mean, like you said, not a lot of matches, but you did have some good storytelling here in this on this edition of Friday Night Smackdown. I mean, especially with the closing segment. So yeah, all in all, I thought it was a good show. So 7.5 for me. So let's get into AEW Saturday Collision.
All right. And with that said, we do indeed do it. And we started off with a three-way match for the TNT title. The champion Luchasaurus and the two challengers, Christian Cage and Darby Allin. Winner of the bout in 10 minutes and 5 seconds. And now officially the new AEW TNT champion, Christian Cage. He finally gets the belt, and actually, instead of him wearing it like the champion, he is now officially the champion. He actually takes the belt. It ended up being one of those where there was a little bit of a thing where Christian basically is like, you know what, I'm gonna take the win here. He does. He wins the match. And now he gets, that moment of glory for himself. But you can tell Luchasaurus, I kind of think Christian's finally barked up the wrong tree. Luchasaurus was fine that you had the belt, but he was recognized as the champion. Now you took that away from him. I think this might lead to bigger problems for Christian Cage. It was a fine match, and I'll give this about maybe 2.5 to 3. But at the end of the day, if you're AEW, did you really need to do that? Couldn't you just keep it as status quo, have Luchasaurus as the champion, let Christian Cage be the sniveling weasel, and let him have the belt? I mean, let him believe that he is the champion. Why did you have to make him officially the champ? I kind of feel like that made no sense. I like the story, how they did it. And again, the TNT title becomes a transitional belt. I mean, so I kind of felt like it didn't make sense in one sense, but it also made sense in another, because it almost makes me believe that Luchasaurus is gonna turn on Christian at some point. Probably sooner rather than later, because Christian's starting to get to that point that he is about to, like I said, he is about to bark up at the wrong tree, and he's going to pay very dearly down the line. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Let's be realistic. For all intents and purposes, this was a handicap match. I don't care what anybody says. This was a handicap match. it feels like a lot of people knew Christian would leave with the TNT Championship, but how we got there was the mystery. Christian Cage embraced Luchasaurus after the match, and they seem to be on good terms, but time will tell if the living dinosaur will continue to put up with him or leave him in the dust. Even though this was somewhat predictable, the journey to the finish was fun. This was the kind of match that made the price of admission worth it for the live crowd. How is AEW... the way Darby Allin took an Irish whip into the steel steps looked weird. He just sort of flipped over the steps instead of making it look like he hit them. This was a solid 3-star match. And, well, Christian doesn't have much time to celebrate because next Sunday night, as part of the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, Tony Khan booked Christian Cage. Now, remember, Christian pinned Luchasaurus to win the match and the title. You notice he did not pin Darby Allin. And Tony Khan made sure that Christian did not forget that. And he made sure of it because next Sunday night, Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, Christian Cage will defend the TNT Championship against Darby Allin in Darby's hometown of Seattle. Intercontinental rules, MF. You know what that means.
2 out of 3 falls.
Mm-hmm. So if it's anything like the last 2 out of 3 falls match we saw in AEW, I don't know if it's going to be as great as that one was, but it definitely has potential to be. So, but, well, we're going to have to wait and find out. So, so not much more to say on that. This was a solid 3. So Michael Bullock, we thought Christian was impossible before. He's going to be even more so now that he officially is the TNT champion. But next week, he doesn't have much time to celebrate. He only has like a week to celebrate because next Sunday night at the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, Darby Allin, title defense against Darby Allin, Intercontinental rules, 2 out of 3 falls, Darby's hometown of Seattle. Yeah, good luck, big boy. You're going to need it.
Yeah, and the thing is, when it comes to Christian, good thing he's not on the show because he'd probably be unhappy. He would probably say, excuse me, Fletch. I think you meant to say, and still the TNT champion, because let's be realistic. He's such an egotistical maniac and what he used to be called in the WWE as a CLB. I mean, he's becoming to be like that again. And now that he is officially the TNT champion, get that through your thick skull, CLB. Yeah, and then afterwards, he said he dedicated the match to Nick Wayne's parents. I mean, are you really that sick, Christian? I mean, are you really going to continue with this this sick, perverted way that you are right now? And man, I mean, I don't know what else is there to say. I mean, but yeah, I mean, you could just see Luchasaurus was not happy about it, and he may be hugging him now, but I think Christian Cage may be barking up a wrong tree, and Luchasaurus is gonna turn on him and may give him a delicious squash at some point. I mean, I think it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. So there's really nothing more for me to say. This is about a 2.5 to 3 star match, but Fletch, as I give it to you, Christian is really crossing a fine line here, not just with the Luchasaurus, but once again continuing to go there with Nick Wayne's parents.
Yeah, and that's also another guy who could actually end up becoming and maybe even dethroning eventually down the line, and that could be taking the belt off and winning the title. Nick Wayne could be the guy that could be the guy.
I mean, does Nick Wayne really want to win the title, or does he want to just beat the snot out of Christian for the way he's degraded his parents?
I don't know. Why not do both? I mean, what's the one thing that you want? Like, think about it. What would be bigger and more sweeter of a revenge? Getting the retribution or getting something that Christian prides himself as. He prides himself. Do you know how many times he considers himself worthy or deserving of that belt? What if he does beat him for that title? I mean, that'd be a bigger thing more than anything else, So
Yeah,
that's my.
but with the title being on the line, because remember how you know how you have to win the title, so Nick Wayne's gonna have to choose one or the other.
Oh, because of the fact of the you got to win by pinfall. I think Nick Wayne would be able to keep himself in that situation. I think he would be able to keep his head, if that's what you're wondering. So
Yeah. But as the old saying goes, that's easier said than done because
yeah.
Christian's going to use the mind games and he's going to continue to.
Oh yeah.
Break.
No. That's granted. Yeah, there's no argument there. Obviously,
he's going to push Nick Wayne's buttons to the point that Nick Wayne's going to do something to the point that the ref's going to disqualify him.
Yeah. Well, like we said, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. So, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I kind of feel like, in that situation, I think, obviously with what's going on, with everything that Christian pushes, but the thing is that he might have pushed too far. You don't even know. You honestly think with the way how Luchasaurus, what if that's the moment where Luchasaurus turns on Christian? Nick Wayne wins the belt right then and there. Because that's the other thing. You honestly think that, Nick Wayne, if he goes one-on-one, what if Luchasaurus turns on Christian? Nick Wayne is like the belt's on a silver platter. Let's be realistic here. So I mean, I get where you're coming from, but we don't know how it's gonna play out. But the thing is, we're not even talking about him. We're talking about a match that hasn't even happened yet. So what are we doing? So anyway, next up we had was RVD and Hook. They went up against Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, and it was RVD and Hook winning the match in 8 minutes and 25 seconds. Anthony Floyer, what's yours?
2.5, 2 3/4 of a star for this match. This was fun for what it was, which was a random tag match featuring a rising star and a popular legend that would always get a pop from the crowd. This was predictable, but still enjoyable. There were chants for RVD before the match even got started. He is still over with most wrestling fans, judging from the reactions he has gotten in AEW. Parker is a great hand in the ring. It would be great if he was given more chances to have singles matches in AEW or Ring of Honor, for that matter. But 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. That's the best I could go. So not much more to say. And MF, you know the history. RVD and Taz, you know their history.
Mm-hmm.
And RVD was in there with Taz's son. So that was something that the commentary team brought up on commentary. Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness, they brought that up brilliantly. So brilliant point that they made. So, but other than that, like I said, 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, RVD, still got it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he definitely still has it. And well, you talk about what a moment for Hook to be tagging with Taz. I mean, with RVD. And I don't know if you noticed after the match, RVD did the famous pose that Taz did with in the old days of ECW, and there was a little smile on the face of Hook. That's something that you rarely see from Hook. I mean, because you've always seen that serious side of him. But yeah, I mean, it was good to see that a little bit from him. So yeah, 2.5 stars is the correct rating for this match. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, like you said, nothing more to say. So yeah, like you said, 2.5 stars. It's gonna be very interesting to see how it plays out. But at the end of the day, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. It was pretty good for what it was worth. And now we lead ourselves to the next match. It was Julia Hart versus Kira Hogan, and it was Julia Hart winning the match in 3 minutes and 40 seconds. We don't really need to talk about that one, so we'll just go right by. Then we had ourselves a one-on-one match. And as a matter of fact, a first time ever meeting between these two. Andrade El Idolo going one-on-one with Jay White. Winner of the bout in 16 minutes and 30 seconds was Jay White. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
If you don't mind, Flitch, before I talk about it, I'd like to reverse back to what the end of that the previous matchup. I mean, we found out that Julia Hart is issuing the challenge to Chris Statlander for the TBS Championship at Wrestle. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see because Chris Statlander, if you think Julia Hart's going to be an easy win, because this is a different Julia Hart you're dealing with, especially with the House of Black, because at some point she's going to use that black mist that she has. So we'll see what happens with that. But as far as this match goes that we're talking about now, great match here. I'm going to give this about 4 stars on this one. What a match here between two guys wrestling for the first time. And look, you got to give the devil his due. Jay White, finds a way to win. Yes, even though Fletch can't stand the guy, we all know how much Fletch can't stand Jay White, but look, he gets the win here. Yeah, so now the question is, what's next for both of these guys? So, nothing more for me to say except 4 stars. So, Fletch, look, you got to give the devil his due. Yes, he may have won it in a shady way, but hey, he gets a big win here over someone like Andrade El Idolo.
Yeah, it was a fine match. 4 stars. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. Look, it was good match with a horrible ending. I'll say that. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't want to go any more further. So it's kind of prototypical AEW. So it's kind of, you get this great battle, this great matchup, everything looks great, and then you have this little spotty ending. Let's say that. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
4 to 4.25 stars for this one. Andrade El Idolo finally got a chance to get his hands on Jay White last night, but he also had the rest of Bullet Club Gold at ringside causing trouble. Both of these men have worked in a lot of the same places, but this was the first time they have ever been in the ring together, so they were looking to make a good impression and make this match memorable. Switchblade and El Idolo are in their prime and among the top competitors in the world, so they probably could have put on a good match without even breaking a sweat. Thankfully for us, they put in the effort to make this better than anything else on the show up to that point. Juice Robinson got involved while the ref was distracted and took out El Idolo so White could hit the Blade Runner for the win. The outcome leaves it open for a rematch, but this was a good outing either way. Overall, it was a 4.25, but I'm bumping it down to 4 because of the Juice Robinson interference. But other than that, that's the best I can do. Jay White has a clean DDT, and some of the chops both men were hitting looked and sounded very stiff. Andrade's chest was looking a little red after an exchange late in the match. But this upcoming Saturday night on Collision, Andrade El Idolo goes one-on-one with Juice Robinson. So perhaps Andrade will get the win back. And who knows? Maybe we'll get Andrade and Jay White in a rematch at Wrestle Dream, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, it's a 4-star match for me. You can certainly make an argument for Fight of the Night here, although there is another match that is just as worthy of it. So So with that being said, MF, we move on to a battle for the AEW World Tag Team Championship as FTR issued an open challenge and it was answered.
It was answered by JD Drake and Anthony Henry of the Workhorsemen, and it was FTR winning the match in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. It was a fine match. It could have been a little more better in certain areas, but I'm not going to be too mad about it. Solid fight, about maybe 2 stars. Unfortunately, like I said, a little short. It was less than 5 minutes. I can't go any more than that. If you want to call a fun little sprint, all right, I guess, but I can't even call it that at that point. So it is what it is. Anthony, it's yours. FTR wins in 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
I'm going to give it 2.5. But before I explain, here's what we do need to address. Aussie Open, Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher sat in on commentary to watch the Workhorsemen challenge FTR for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. These are 4 guys who like to have physical fights, and they did not disappoint in this match. The crowd was loving every second of it, but JD Drake's massive moonsault probably got the biggest pop. Yes, this match was short, but it was fun from bell to bell. FTR retained the titles before the show even had a chance to have a commercial break. But it was a fun little sprint and definitely put some eyes on a great tag team in the Workhorsemen. And Drake's moonsault was awesome. Check out that clip if you haven't seen it already. But I'm actually going to give it 2.5 stars. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, FTR successfully defends in 450. And, well, Aussie Open is next Sunday night at Wrestle Dream.
Yeah, I mean, this was a little bit of a appetizer for FTR with this match they had last night. 2.5. I agree on it, but yeah, they're gonna be facing Aussie Open for the titles next Sunday at Wrestle Dream. So that ain't gonna be easy. I'll tell you that right now. And this match is gonna go far longer than what we saw right here. So 2.5. Let's move on, Fletch.
Main event, Texas Death Match, Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks, and it was Bryan Danielson winning the match in 20 minutes. Anthony, it's yours.
4.25, 4.5, fight of the night. This feud had been building for weeks, so this was where it was all supposed to come to a head. They wasted no time taking the fight out of the ring and into the crowd. This was basically a last man standing match, so they had to keep their opponent down for a 10 count to secure a win. Both men brought their A game for this bout and delivered a performance that probably should have been on a pay-per-view without commercials. They both came close to winning at different times, but it was Bryan Danielson stomping Ricky Starks into the mat and hitting a chain-assisted Bun Psycho knee for the win. Ricky Starks started walking on a hand railing and then realized Bryan Danielson was too far away, so he hopped down. It looked like he was supposed to hit a dive off the railing, but it wasn't timed properly. Ricky Starks might be the heel, but he was getting a lot of cheers, even against a popular star like Bryan Danielson. And Nigel McGuinness, always being petty about Bryan Danielson, will always be funny. MF obviously knows that history as well, so... But nonetheless, this was the fight of the night. 4.25, 4.5 stars. No question about it. So I'm not surprised Danielson won it. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, for all intents and purposes, maybe this feud is over. And if it is, now Bryan Danielson can focus on a match that next Sunday night at Wrestle Dream has potential to not only steal the show, but also have potential to be a match of the year candidate when he goes one-on-one with Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, if this is indeed it for this feud, what a way for it to go out, because, man, I mean, what a match this was. This was 4.5 stars, and, I mean, look, I mean, the commercials, I think really hurt it some, not too much, but man, I mean, I'll tell you, if this was on a pay-per-view, I would easily give this 5 stars. Because that's just how damn good this match was. And, I mean, all the blood that we saw, and I don't know about you, Fletch and Florio, but I think the person who bled more, I think, was Ricky Starks. Because did you see how the way he was? Oy, 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 oy. I mean, it looks like he got a little bit more of the crimson mask than Bryan Danielson. Not to say that, I mean, Bryan Danielson did bleed too, but Ricky Starks got the worst of it. If the way I saw it. So, but this was everything we expected out of a Texas death match. So, yeah, 4.5 stars, fight of the night. So, let's get into overall thoughts on this edition of Saturday Collision.
Yeah, and I guess Anthony Flair, you lead off. So, what did you think about Collision?
Last night's Collision featured a much stronger card than Friday night's special 2-hour Rampage Grand Slam. So it felt like a big improvement from night to night. Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks closed the show with a fun and bloody Texas death match, but Jay White and Andrade El Idolo might have had a better match from a technical perspective. They were very different performances, so it's hard to compare them fairly. Julia Hart continues her path toward winning her first title in AEW. Christian winning the TNT Championship felt like a natural progression of his storyline, and the Workhorseman left a lasting impression with just a few minutes to work with FTR. All in all, this was a great way to cap off this week of wrestling. I'm going to give it about 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 7.5 to 8 for me on this edition of Saturday Collision. Yeah, I mean, everything else was. Everything was good. I mean, there were some things I thought that could have been better, but yeah, this is definitely a great cap off a great week of wrestling. Not just from AEW, but from WWE as well. But mainly on the AEW side, especially with their shows in Arthur Ashe Stadium. So 7.5 to 8. That being said, Fletch, put a bow on it with your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll go about 7.5 to 8. 7.5 mainly. I thought it was a great show, great way to close it. No doubt in my mind. So yeah, we're done. So we're out of here. So tomorrow night is another edition of Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio, as we'll basically recap Monday Night Raw, and then Anthony has his Tony's Take to the Impact, the second part of the Impact 1000, the second episode of that, the second week of it. And then, of course, we'll also have possibly the NXT Level Up. Wednesday night is Wednesday Night Madness. That'll be right here on this channel at 10 o'clock. Not 10:30, but 10. Then Thursday is TXN Sports World presents College Football Thursday. That'll be at 10:30. Friday, also at 10:30. And then we promise you we'll be back 1 week on Saturday, 10:30 again, and that will be that. All right, so we're out of here. So for Anthony Floyo, for Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher, saying thank you everybody for watching, and until then, so long everybody, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night.